with Caleb Kuda, yes, and Bernardino Koku Avle shortly. But the newspaper review is brought to you by Enterprise, your advantage, and by Fidelity Bank with Kukwa, their helpful WhatsApp banking assistant. Yes, Kukwa. In fact, today is her day. It's Wednesday. Kukwa, Fidelity Online Banking, their Visa, MasterCard, and prepaid cards, and the efficient Fidelity mobile app. You're always equipped to take on the world and meet your daily and long-term goals. Check your account balance, top up airtime, get mini statements, pay bills, transfer money on the go. Do so much more with Fidelity Bank. Fidelity Bank, believe with us. The newspaper review is also brought to you by Airtel Tigo. Did you know that you can make free Airtel Tigo calls every day from 5 to 10 a.m. for 6 whole months? All right. Get a new Airtel Tigo SIM, make a transaction with Airtel Tigo Money, and get free Airtel Tigo calls every morning for 6 months. And if you're already on Airtel Tigo Money, just dial *110#. Select option 2, subscribe for the morning offer, and share all of your kokonsa every morning for free. Airtel Tigo Money. Life is simple. And Total Petroleum Ghana Limited received the prestigious Brand of the Year award at the Ghana Oil and Gas Awards. They won the Lubricant Product of the Year, Marketing Campaign of the Year, and they dedicate these awards to valued customers for your unwavering trust and loyalty to the Total brand. Thank you for making us number one, and keep choosing Total. Total, committed to better energy. Right, let's get into the newspapers. Bernardino Koku Avle, good morning.
Hello.
Hello, hello. Hello, 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 Caleb Kuda.
Good morning, Koku.
Caleb, I like the jersey you're wearing.
I knew it would make you excited.
Yes.
I wanted you to be happy this morning.
Those who are watching us on Facebook will be able to see this.
It's an oversized version of an Arsenal away jersey.
I like oversized version. No.
Arsenal away jersey.
Charlie, Arsenal. That's another conversation for another day. But there's a lot going on in the news, isn't it?
Absolutely.
So much is happening.
Last
night there was another fire.
That's true.
It's like one fire, in fact 2 fires, because there was one in Koforidua, then there was another one in Kantamanto. Almost every week we've had a fire. So that's making rounds more online than on the news in the newspapers. But there are some other stories, so maybe we'll start with the graphic.
Yes, Mahama is big on the Ghanaian Times this morning. He says, "I will concede defeat only after independent forensic audit." That's former President Mahama. And then the Ghana Health Service launches 5-year strategic plan to reduce maternal and child deaths. As well, 2020 election dispute, NPP NDC urged to apply procedures. And on the alleged Western Togoland separatists, 25 granted bail, granted 2.5 million Ghana cedis bail, and then 4 discharged. That's on the front page of the Ghanaian Times.
The Daily Graphic is talking roads. 9 days to Christmas. Break down vehicles, hunt for prey. Motorists are victims. This is a good one by Timothy Nyangbe. Also, pro ball electoral crimes. 16 CSOs charge the police. And police caution against unlawful protest. Both stories are on page 16.
Right. The New Publisher says, "Come back home. NPP begs sacked Fomena MP." That story is on page 3 of the New Publisher. And "I won. I won't let go. Mahama calls for probe." That story is on page 6 of the paper. And Afeno marking top central region. NPP General Secretary says he should be rewarded. And there's a sad story on page 2 of the paper. It says, "Truck runs over girl 5."
Wow, Daily Guide leads with Rawlings, confusion over Rawlings funeral. Story by Charles Techebwedu. Also, witness narrates how MPP chairman died. This is Adams Mahama. Other stories, NDC ladies chase journalist. Meanwhile, concede and stop deceiving public. MPP to Mahama. Still on court issues. NDC has no evidence to go to court. This is Richard Nyama.
Right. The Informer says, election 2020, Varsity Dawn Lords EC urges regulation of political parties. "I won't concede defeat." Mahama declares. That story is on page 4 of the Informer. For assaulting police officer on duty, sack DCE now. Ghanaians yell. That story is on page 5. And Zongo youth warned against perpetrating violence. And that story is on page 2 as well of the Informer.
So quickly, this Daily Statesman is on elections. Ghana won't burn because of you, MPP tells Mahama, with a photo of John Boedu, General Secretary of MPP. Also, justify your victory claims with concrete evidence. Majority Leader dares NDC. And police urges public to adhere to public order law. That's on page 3.
Still on elections, Bernard, EC debunks fake news, refutes reports on alleged meeting to blame Commission's IT department, and urges disregard for video alleging discovery of thumb-printed ballot papers in Ashanti. That's a long headline on pages 3 and 10 of the new Crusading Guide. As well, NPP pummels Mahama. Your logic beggars believe. Presidency not your exclusive right. Okay.
So lots of politics.
I'll quit politics if Mahama goes to court over election results. This is Richard Nyama saying.
Very interesting. The Herald is also fully on elections. MPP taunts NDC with Akufo-Addo appointed Supreme Court judges as Mahama prepares to file election petition. There's a photo of the Chief Justice and other people. Also, government tricked UTAG and others. Public University Bill reintroduced after election. That's a big one. In other stories, idle CID boss detains journalist in president's name as Swale's murderers walk free. And Joy FM TV3 give excuses for calling 2020 presidential results. That's also on the front page.
The Chronicle has a new twist. It says, jealous DCE's dad acid baths ex-lover and mother, has rather gory photos of the victim and how she has been affected, and an image of Nanaya Omante, who is the suspect. And we are ready to work with the opposition in Parliament. This is John Boedu. And Amenfi East, NPP denies skirt and blouse allegation against MCE MP. That's the Chronicle.
The Ghanaian publisher, political parties warned against unsanctioned demo. This is the police. Also, NDC to MPP, the election is over. Your whining won't change the result. John Boyd is photographed here. Also, Public University Bill goes through second reading, and Central Region gets 6 female MPs with photos of Mame Poku Asoya, Hawa Kumsin, and Ophelia Mensah.
The Finder has ICOMS, and it says it yields
ICOMS. This is the pot thing. We are broadcasting the thing.
Sorry.
ICOMS.
ICOMS.
It's like ICOMS. ICOMS. Yes, ICOMS.
ICOMS. So ICOMS yields positive results. Thanks for that correction. Blocks leakages, increases revenue, and simplified process. That's according to the Ghana Revenue Authority, and traders optimistic about boost in sales. Dr. Awal is 2020 Ghana Muslim Achievers Awards political personality. That's on page 12. 16 CSOs urge political parties to resolve disputes in court. EC's corrected figures mirror our PVT results. That's Codale. And NDC's whining can't change election 2020 results. That's according to the NPP, and all these are on the front page of the Finder.
Okay, let me go to the BNFT finally before we go online. I'm sure you have a few of the online stories. I have some here as well. The Business and Financial Times, traders express mixed reactions over post-election impasse. This is on page 3. MPRA looks to Momo to soar up informal pensions coverage. That's an interesting one. And weak anti-money laundering laws impeding FDIs. That's a front page story with a photo of Mark Sibeyeboa, who is the chairman of the Finance Committee of Parliament, outgoing MP for New Jobbing South. All right, so should we do a few online?
I think we should. Okay, let's go to our homepage. That's citynewsroom.com. You can go there for more stories. Now, Parliament won't act as rubber stamp in passing Public Universities Bill. As you mentioned earlier, Bernard, the bill has popped up again now that elections are over. And in relation to that as well, UTAG executives are going to meet Bawumia today. That's Dr. Bawumia, the Vice President, over the Public Universities Bill. So we expect to hear a lot more about this as the day goes on. Fire, the fire that you mentioned, Fire Guts part of Kantamanto Market, desist from street protests against election results. This is the Christian Council speaking to the NDC. Okay.
So all that on the front of Citi.
All that is on the City Newsroom homepage.
Let me go to my journal online. UTAG requests status of Public Universities Bill relayed before Parliament. That's their lead story. They also have a couple more. Resolve outstanding matters, choose suitable burial date. Akufo-Addo to Rawlings' family. This is Nathan Kwa Rawlings'.
Yes, the Rawlings'.
Now also address computational errors in press briefing, not statements. This is Kodio tells EC. And Akwetia MPP blames Yao Safo for seat loss. This is interesting.
Look, let's go to peacefmonline.com. I'm happy Ghanaians punished NPP MPs. This is from people say Socrates here. I know it's Socrates.
Yes, Socrates.
So it's Socrates, but
Yes.
people call
One
him
of the
Socrates.
three,
Socrates.
the big three.
Socrates.
Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle.
Socrates. Sappho is saying this, all right?
Okay.
Guinea ministers to declare assets to curb corruption.
Okay.
Interesting. Uganda frees detained Nigerian musicians, all right? Boko Haram says it abducted Nigerian schoolboys. Now, I'm sure people have heard of this story that there were several Nigerian schoolboys abducted a few days ago from school, and Boko Haram is claiming that they were behind that. We expect President-elect to do more for Ghanaians. That's the NPP chairman. Christians must spread gospel through ICT. Reverend Frimpong Manso, some of the latest stories.
Let me
there
take
on
you
Peace FM
to
Online.
starfm.com. 2020 election most incompetent ever. This is Mahama. Also, fire ravages shops in Koforidua. And NDC women protest 2020 poll results in Kumasi. And there's an interesting one here. If parliament may be dysfunctional, this is the Center for Parliamentary Affairs.
Okay, let's go to bbc.com quickly if we can. Germany under tougher restrictions amid COVID rise. Now, over here, maybe we've forgotten that there's something called COVID.
I'm telling you.
Look, Germany, they're shutting down again. The country is closing schools and non-essential businesses in an attempt to curb the virus. Also, top Trump ally ends silence to congratulate Biden. We're
Yeah.
talking about Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell. He has actually finally come out to congratulate the president-elect Joe Biden
For what it's worth.
for what it's worth.
Let
you
me
know.
end with the GNA. The Christian Council is asking the EC to declare status of constituencies in election disputes. This is parliamentary results. Okay.
All
So
right.
maybe we can start with some election material. I think the first one will be Mohammed's interview with the
That is true.
VOA, and matters arising from there, John Buedo's response and other things.
Yeah. So on page 15 of the Ghanaian Times, Mahama, the headline says, "I will concede defeat only after independent forensic audit." And a story by the Times, it says, former President John Mahama says he will concede defeat if an independent forensic audit of the results of the just ended polls confirms that he lost as declared by the Electoral Commission (EC). In the interim, he insisted that there was a deliberate attempt by the EC to subvert the will of the people in favor of President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. He spoke in an interview with the Voice of America yesterday where he explained the position of the party and why they think that they would only need an independent forensic audit to confirm that indeed they have suffered defeat in the just ended elections. Meanwhile, both NPP and NDC are being urged to apply procedures to express their grievances. So 16 civil society organizations in the country have joined calls for the New Patriotic Party and the National Democratic Congress (NDC) to use laid down procedures to contest results of the December 7 elections. In a joint statement issued in Accra yesterday, the CSOs urged the aggrieved parties to let their members refrain from violent acts, stay calm as they use procedures outlined by law and with supporting documents to challenge the declaration.
Now, there's a couple of reactions. I mean, actually, a couple of papers focusing more on the reaction to this. So, Daily Statesman, Ghana won't burn because of UNPP tells Mahama. Story on page 2, quoting General Secretary of the MPP, John Buedu. Kwesi Frimpong's story says the governing MPP has asked former President John Mahama to emulate Akufo-Addo and do the right thing if he feels cheated in the December 7 poll. According to the MPP, Mahama is refusing to do the right thing because he knows courts don't operate according to the whims of a presidential candidate, behaving like a child crying over candy. Now, the Daily Guys version of this is also pretty scathing, and it says the New Patriotic Party has called on defeated presidential candidate of NDC, John Mahama, to graciously concede defeat and stop deceiving Ghanaians that he rather won the election. According to the General Secretary, the NDC presidential candidate knew very well that he lost the presidential election, but wanted to court the sympathy of NDC supporters by claiming he won, so that he will be given another chance in 2024 to run again as the party's presidential candidate. So that's the focus of the two.
Yeah.
There's still more on the election because the Kodio angle that I have here is also urging the EC to do something. So apart from what the Kodio said in what Caleb read, if you go to my journal online, Kodio has called on the Electoral Commission to hold a public event to address the computational errors that were detected in its initial declaration of the 2020 presidential results. And according to Kodio, the press releases being issued by the EC to clarify the errors have not helped to clear the air of doubt surrounding the integrity of the presidential election results declared by the Commission on December 9. Now, in a press statement, interestingly, asking for EC not to do more press statements, signed by National Coordinator Albert Ahin, Kodio is of the view that given what is at stake, the EC must go beyond passive publication of a press release to hold a public event to address the underlying issues with respect to the computational errors identified so as to allay any lingering concerns and doubt. I think this is in the right place.
Yeah, I think so.
This is from Kodio. Now,
Okay.
I don't know if there's any more election stuff.
There is. Okay, let's go to Peace FM Online. The New Patriotic Party is ready to work with the National Democratic Congress as the minority in the 2021 House of Parliament to reflect the skirt and blouse verdicts of the people. Now, Mr. John Boydu, the General Secretary of the NPP, stated this at a news conference in Accra yesterday and said that the close parliamentary results indicated that Ghanaians wanted the two parties to work together. Quote, he said, "We will therefore work with the minority to reflect the interest of the people. But going forward, we will know our mistakes and what went wrong to correct them." He said the NPP won in the presidential in many constituencies, but lost to the NDC in parliamentary, a situation that calls for the NPP to sit up in the next tenure of administration.
Okay, now before Caleb comes back, there's a lot of different election-related stories in the graphic, for example, and the publisher. So publisher is focused on Afenyo Marken, Central Region. Daily Graphic focused on Adom making history for NPP in Upper West Akim. This is the first time that party has won there. Then there's also one in the page 18, Hajia Zuwera, first woman MP elect in Savannah region. But then let me deal with the Herald. A couple of interesting ones here. NPP turns NDC with Akufo-Addo appointed Supreme Court judges as Mama prepares to file election petition. So it appears the NDC will go to court, and from what the paper is saying, MPP people are already showing the Supreme Court positions. And they are saying, for example, that out of the 17 judges of the Supreme Court, the sitting president appointed 11, former President John Mahama and former President Kufuor appointed just 2 and 4 respectively. So late President Jerry Rawlings and Professor Mills, both of them NDC, have none left on the bench. Justice Suleiman Gbadegbe, the last of Mills appointees, went on retirement about a month ago. Now, the story says that the NPP elements have flooded the media with a list of Supreme Court judges and those appointed to sort of say that if NDC goes to court, they will not succeed, suggesting somehow that who appoints a judge determines how the person judges, which is not necessarily true. The other story is about CID detaining a journalist. Again, this is a story about Oheneba Boama.
RFM.
And yes, police statement issued by CID essentially talking about why he was detained for insulting the president. Lawyer Sosu says they were not told who the complainant was, and their demand for bail for Hineba was flatly refused, saying it was orders from above. And he also gave a harrowing experience of how he and 2 other lawyers went through what they went through at the CID headquarters in the hands of gun-wielding police officers.
Right. So in the publisher, it says NPP runs to sacked Fomena MP. Still on politics, it says Majority Leader Osaiche Mensah Bonsu has confirmed that the NPP has initiated an engagement with the sacked Fomena MP Andrews Amoako Esiamwa to join the NPP side of the House in the next Parliament. In an interview with Joy News, the Minister for Parliamentary Affairs indicated that the opposition National Democratic Congress NDC has also taken steps to get him on their side. The Fomena MP is a very hot cake in Parliament at the moment. Both sides are trying to woo him over. But there's a sad story on page 2 of the publisher where a truck ran over a 5-year-old girl. Story by Nane Friye in Kumasi. It says agonized wailing enveloped the small quiet town of Apromase near Kumasi after the horrific death of 5-year-old girl on Saturday afternoon. Identified as Christabel Otu, the young girl was unfortunately run over by a tipper truck which was fully laden with sand, killing her instantly on the road. The details are gory. I'd like to
now
say
still on
that.
tipper trucks. The Daily Graphic has an interesting one here. Breakdown vehicles hunt for prey. Now the story says 4 years after an attempt by the government to introduce a nationwide towing service fizzled out,
Yes.
the problem of breakdown vehicles on our roads remains a major threat to the safety of road users. While many vehicles break down on the highways such as Accra, Winneba, Accra, Kumasi, Takwa Bogosu, Ayamfuri, and Tamamoto, and Kumasi, Tamale, there is no efficient towing mechanism in place to clear them as required by law. Now, the Daily Graphic has been monitoring the highways between June and December. And with 9 days to Christmas, they've observed that some of the abandoned vehicles had been on the roads for more than a month.
Yeah.
For instance, during a visit to the Central Region in June, the paper counted, wait for it, 38 abandoned vehicles on the Takwa Bogoso and Yamfuri Highway. 38. The case was not different on the Accra Winneba Road, where 29 vehicles that had broken down had been left untowed. Now, this is good journalism. Now, apart from many trucks parking on the shoulders of the road, the Accra Kumasi Highway has also gained notoriety for hosting many breakdown vehicles. Now, the development, as we all know, poses a serious threat to commuters as the abandoned vehicles contribute to many of the road accidents that have claimed many lives. And the paper then talks about the law, the vehicle towing brouhaha, and then what people think. And there's some interesting statistics here. 13,392 cases of road accidents involving 22,000 vehicles were recorded in Ghana between January and November. We read this yesterday.
Yeah.
And then they also showed the various means by which these accidents occur.
I wonder if that towing proposal will crop up again, and maybe
in a better
format.
Definitely.
Yes, one that's more palatable to the public. Okay.
Now, academics are not too happy.
Oh no, they
They are not
See you.
happy at
They are
all
not.
because the public university bill is back in parliament and it goes through second reading. Story by Agnes Ansah on the Chronicle. It says, despite firm opposition from the minority and sections of the public, Parliament yesterday took the controversial public university bill through a second reading. It would be recalled that the bill, when introduced into the House some months ago, met stiff opposition from the minority, civil society, and the university community, who held the view that some clauses were not at par with provisions of the 1992 Constitution. To the opposers, the law would take away the education freedom, this should be academic freedom, from the university councils, hence create more problems than it seeks to resolve. But the government explained that the bill, when passed, would harmonize the governance, administration and accountability structures of public universities. We've had interviews with Professor Tuguba and the rest of the UTAG members, and they have really expressed their opposition to this bill in its current form. Some say it should be totally discredited or discarded. Others say it should be reformed. We are told that UTAG will be meeting the Vice President sometime soon,
Today,
and we'll see what comes out of this very controversial
Related to that, on our front page, citynewsroom.com, Parliament won't act as a rubber stamp in passing Public Universities Bill. Now, this is the Minister for Education, Matthew Opoku Prempeh, speaking. Parliament will not act as a rubber stamp in the process leading to the passage of the Public Universities Bill, according to Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh. This story by Marian Ansah and Duke Mensa Opoku. The bill entered the consideration stage after its second reading in Parliament, as you said, where the minority threatened to withdraw their support if their request for further consultation is ignored. The ranking member of the committee attested to the fact that the universities were consulted, and it is their proposal that they brought in that led to a large number of amendments. Of course, when bills are brought, Parliament is not a rubber stamp. Parliament invites stakeholder memoranda, and there were 38 memoranda that were brought, so Parliament will listen. If there are amendments, that is the word of Parliament. I do not remember a single bill that came and went back the same. These are the words of Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh, Minister for Education.
Kukui, there are two fire stories of concern.
Yes.
First one, fire gets parts of Cantonment Market. This story actually was written this dawn. Fire has gutted parts of the Cantonment Market in Accra Central Business District. Started around 10 p.m. yesterday. According to eyewitnesses, by 10:20, the fire had gotten out of control. Onlookers ran to nearby fire station to request for help. Fire service personnel reportedly got to the scene around 11 p.m., which is about an hour since the fire started. And at the time the story was written, firefighters were on the ground trying to douse the flames. Now, if you look at the photos, it looks
deadly.
like hell. Now, the story then talks about a similar incident that took place at the Liberty branch of GCB.
only weeks ago.
But only yesterday as well, there was a fire in Koforidia. And the story, and this is Star News I'm reading now, fire has ravaged at least 3 shops in Koforidia. And in fact, if you're watching Citi TV, there's an interview with Ignatius Beidou of the fire service in Koforidia talking about this. At least 3 shops in Koforidia, regional capital of the eastern region, were ravaged by fire. Fire occurred in the morning of Tuesday. The blaze was caused by an electrical fault on the main power supply pole of the company ECG, which spread to nearby shops. And look, this is almost 1 week, one fire. So this is 2 fire issues to talk about.
Well, there's a story in the Chronicle that symbolizes Odosane Tuadapa kind of thing. It says, jealous DC's dad, acid baths, ex-lover and mother. Very gory.
When you say Odosane to other part, Kukui doesn't understand you. Because I know you guys.
I understand
When the
love.
law finished,
Yes, go
an
ahead.
accident.
So what happened? So
Basically, 54-year-old Ukugwa-based businessman Nanaya Omante has allegedly poured acid on one Deborah Osei, alleged to be his former girlfriend and her mother, for rejecting his proposal of marriage. The businessman, who according to credible information gathered by the Chronicle, is the father of one of the district chief executives in the eastern region, did the unthinkable when their romantic relationship went sour.
this acid thing people do, it's just cruel.
It is.
It's cruel.
It
How do they
takes-
even get the acid to buy?
Exactly. Takes a wicked
Over the
hearted
counter
person
acid.
to-
Please give me acid. What are you going to do with the acid? and they just sell it.
Let me
No,
just see.
nothing's regulated here.
You know,
It's terrible.
front page.
Anyway, all right. Thank you, Bernardino Kokwavle. Thank you, Caleb Kuda. That was the newspaper review. We'll be right back.
This is the City